Here are some examples that some people believe align with the prophecies from the Book of Revelation. The rise of global conflicts and wars. The Book of Revelation speaks of wars and conflicts that will arise in the end times. Revelation 6 verse 4. Some interpret the rise of global conflicts, such as ongoing wars in Syria, Yemen, and other parts of the world, as a fulfillment of this prophecy. The spread of false teachings and deception. The Book of Revelation speaks of false teachings and deception that will be rampant in the end times. Revelation 16 verses 13 to 14. Some interpret the rise of false teachings and conspiracy theories, such as the QAnon movement, as a fulfillment of this prophecy. The increase of natural disasters. The Book of Revelation speaks of natural disasters, such as earthquakes and famines, that will increase in the end times. Revelation 6 verse 8. Some interpret the increase of natural disasters in recent years, such as hurricanes, wildfires, and earthquakes, as a fulfillment of this prophecy. The rise of a global government and economic system. The Book of Revelation speaks of a global government and economic system that will emerge in the end times. Revelation 13 verses 16 to 17. Some interpret the emergence of global organizations, such as the United Nations and the World Bank, as a fulfillment of this prophecy. Here are a few more examples of events that some people interpret as aligning with the prophecies from the Book of Revelation. The rise of a one-world religion. The Book of Revelation speaks of a one-world religion that will emerge in the end times. Revelation 17 verses 1 to 18. Some interpret the rise of interfaith dialogue and the merging of different religious traditions as a fulfillment of this prophecy. The Mark of the Beast. The Book of Revelation speaks of a mark that will be required for buying and selling in the end times. Revelation 13 verses 16 to 17. Some interpret the rise of new technologies, such as microchip implants and biometric identification systems, as a fulfillment of this prophecy. The decline of morality and the rise of decadence. The Book of Revelation speaks of a decline of morality and the rise of decadence in the end times. Revelation 9 verse 21. Some interpret the rise of pornography, drug addiction, and other forms of debauchery as a fulfillment of this prophecy. The rise of a charismatic world leader. The Book of Revelation speaks of a charismatic world leader who will emerge in the end times. Revelation 13 verses 1 to 18. Some interpret the rise of political leaders who have a strong following, such as former US President Donald Trump, as a fulfillment of this prophecy. The spread of plagues and pandemics. The Book of Revelation speaks of plagues and diseases that will afflict the world in the end times. Revelation 6 verse 8. Some interpret the outbreak of pandemics, such as the COVID-19 pandemic, as a fulfillment of this prophecy. The destruction of cities and nations. The Book of Revelation speaks of the destruction of cities and nations in the end times. Revelation 18 verses 1 to 24. Some interpret the rise of natural disasters, political instability, and terrorism as a fulfillment of this prophecy. God is great, good and amazing today. tomorrow and always, but when we see tragedies in the world, it's easy to lean into fear and anxiety. Here are some scriptures from the Bible that can provide comfort and peace when living in this world. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. John 14 verse 27. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4 verses 6 to 7. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Matthew 11 verses 28 to 30. For God gave us a spirit not of fear but of power and love and self-control. 2 Timothy 1 verse 7. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my rock, in whom I take refuge, my shield, and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold. Psalm 18 verse 2. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more, neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain any more, for the former things have passed away. Revelation 21 verse 4. These scriptures remind us that we can find peace and comfort in God, even in the midst of turmoil and uncertainty in the world. Through prayer, we can find rest for our souls and trust in God's protection and deliverance.